98.9 FM. We apologize for coming behind schedule. My name is Dimeji, and I welcome you to today's edition of the Roundtable. On the program this afternoon, it's a new year, and we'll be discussing security in Ondo State and also the South-West, and the measures being put in place to check these trends, kidnapping, and some of these other security problems. I'm being joined on the program this afternoon by a former PDP Public Secretary in Ondo State, Mr. Zadok Agitoye. Welcome on the program.
Mr. Daniels, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
I also have in the studio with me Mr. Theo Adaba. He's a political scientist. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And we're still expecting the co-commander of Amotekun in Ondo State, Chief Adetun, who we believe will join us any moment soon. And we'll be looking at some of the security issues in Ondo State, and of course, by extension, the South-West. I also earlier today spoke with the co-commander of Amotekun in Ekiti State, especially regarding the man who was kidnapped recently. That is Alhaji Akinbami. He has filling stations in Ekiti State. Up till now, he's just to be rescued. So I also spoke with him, like I said, with the commander of Amotekun in Ekiti on this issue. That's General Joe Komalafe. In the course of the program, you'll be listening to the excerpt of the phone call. Let me begin from Mr. Theo Adeboale. Would you say that Amotekun, the Southwest Security Network, has done enough from what you've seen so far to justify its establishment?
Well, I am here to see Amotekun. I've seen the uniform. I've seen the corps commander. I'm here to see them in action. And I think they are yet to take off in the real sense of the word.
How would you say that?
With the various criminal activities, like the murder of Olufo Fifo, like several other episodes that you have in the state. They are yet to assert their presence. They are yet to make a difference. And I think that maybe they are waiting for time. Maybe there are certain things they are putting in place. Maybe they are consolidating. But when a security outfit comes on ground, I think there must be the manifestation of a security outfit. There must be the proving of its metal. There must be a difference. Amotekun is here to make that, as far as I'm concerned.
Let me turn to Mr. Akintoye. Would you say you've seen any positives since Amotekun became part of the security architecture, especially in the Southwest?
Yeah, I on the contrary to Dr. Theo's position, I do think that Amotekun has done relatively well, considering that it was initiated just about a year ago. And if you look at the quantum of problems that we are dealing with in the southwestern region, particularly with respect to security, whatever Amotekun has now is just a small drop in the ocean. Of solutions that we are looking for. I think they have done well, at least for the instigators of most of the insecurity issues in the Southwest. They know that there is somebody watching them. And so that has helped largely to mitigate some of the irresponsible acts of these people. For instance, I use the examples of the herders. I was just discussing with you before we came on air that I am yet to see the herders within my own estate as against the norm. Because once it's dry season, they come into places of residence with their cows and all, and these things are no longer being seen. So for me, I think they've done well. If you also look at the fact that they have been able to respond to instances of kidnapping in a few places. Don't forget that when Amotekun was initiated, operationally, each state government is expected to give about 20 vehicles
Yes.
20 vehicles for Ondo State is just a drop in the ocean. If you look at the logistic needs of the Nigerian Police Command in Ondo State alone, probably what we have for Amotekun would just be, say, less than 5% of what will be needed to effectively man the region. What we have right now, we have the Amotekun base in Akure, but Akure is not the only place where you find issues of kidnapping and criminality. So you need to be able to expand Amotekun to reach virtually all the local governments, at least have a base in all the local governments, just like you have the police having in virtually all local governments at the senatorial districts, having their police headquarters, sub-police headquarters around. So, but Amotekun is just 1 year old. What I think that we should be doing now is, if security is on our list of priorities, I mean, for the state governors, they must invest a lot in Amotekun, giving them the logistic needs. I had an opportunity to go to their base in Akure a few weeks ago, and I looked at the quality of ammunition that they had, and I was wondering that if you have to deal with sophisticated banditry, what they have right now is grossly inadequate. You can't use a non-automatic weapon.
Guns.
You can't use that kind of thing. You can't use to effectively ward off kidnappers. You don't use pump action. You need to be able to have fully automatic weapons for you to engage them, because any single Amotekun operative that is hit by a bullet is going to die, or get damaged or get injured. And you must have enough equipment, because what your priority is to save the lives and property of citizens of the region where you operate. And so you must have effective equipment for you to be able to respond. You must be able to gather intelligence, and you must be able to respond to instances where, for instance, somebody is kidnapped. One key thing with rescuing a kidnapper is the promptness of response. If somebody is kidnapped in Ifon and the Amotekun has to move from Owo to Ifon, before they get there, if it takes them 30 minutes, what you do is that you have given the arsonist or the kidnappers 1 hour head start. Because the 30 minutes for you to get to the location would also be the 30 minutes they would have had an advantage of distancing themselves from that particular location. So we need to understand some of the challenges. But like I said, it's a year old. I think it was inaugurated on the 9th of January. This is just the 11th of January, so they're just about a year old. But I would expect the state governors, to do more in terms of, if security is on their list of priorities, they must begin to, we can't say 20 vehicles since January. We should be talking about 50 to 100 at this time, if we can afford it.
Now, one of the fears that people exercised when Amotekun was to take over was that it could become political. With what you've seen so far, Mr. Adaba, would you say that Amotekun has been able to do what it was primarily established for, without getting involved in politics?
Well, I have not actually seen Amotekun, and from the analysis of my colleague, I think one should be concerned about the logistic needs of Amotekun. If you are an outfit of security, then you must have the necessary weapons, you must have the necessary personnel, you must have the necessary wherewithal. So until they have all these things, I cannot say they are performing. So whoever is in charge, the state government, local government, those who want Amotekun to perform, have a responsibility to get it up, have a responsibility to get it well established, have a responsibility to make it function, so that it can be a security outfit. We cannot be we cannot be empathizing that maybe it has some challenges. These challenges should be out of it before it can perform. So if we realize that it has challenges, we must go and take care of the challenges and get it suitably kitted, suitably equipped to confront the criminals that we are talking about. Like you have said, they are in Akure. I expect them to be in all the local government areas. I expect them to be in the nooks and crannies of the state. I expect them to be mobile enough such that within a short time, they could reach the target. They could respond to distress calls. Until they do that, Amotekun does not exist.
Okay, we have in the studio with us now the commander of Amotekun in Ondo State, Chief Fadayini Adile. You're welcome on the program. Welcome to the roundtable. I've asked questions before you came in, and I'm not trying to speak for you, though I do know that Amotekun is another local government. So one of the questions I've asked before you walked into the studio is that you are an insider. You are in charge of Amotekun in Ondo State. Or would you say that that the call has justified its establishment?
Very well. The call had actually justified its establishment. And I take a cue from the point of taking off of Amotekun. Within the first 2 weeks of taking off of Amotekun, we were able to deploy our men and officers to all the 18 local governments in the state. And I also know, it was on the news, that one of the greatest challenges of the citizenry is that of herdsmen incursion on farmlands, robbery, a lot of other criminal activities. Kidnapping, yeah. And within the first 30 days of the existence of Amotekun, we were able to apprehend and bring to a round table for the first time in the state the Fulani herdsmen with their herds and the farmers. And in not less than 50 locations, as I talk now, we've been able to broker peace. In actual fact, in one of the occasions where I had to personally lead the operation, we brought about 200 cows that destroyed extensive farmlands of people whose future were cut short as a result of the destruction of their farmlands. Some of these people, according to them, cried and came to my office saying that they took loans from bank and invested heavily on their farmlands, only to get there the following morning to meet hundreds of cows destroying the farmland. So instead of taking laws into their hands, they came to us. We were able to apprehend both the cows and the herders, and we brought them to a round table. In actual fact, on one of the occasions, I had to bring the Mietiala chairman of Ekiti, Osun, and Ondo State, because we found out that the cows belongs to members in these 3 states, and we made them sign an undertaking, and they paid the farmers for what was destroyed.
But even at that, the issue of others going into people's farms, destroying their crops, is still something that continues to happen. As somebody who is a security expert, and by virtue of your position as the commander of Amotekun in Ondo State, would you say there is a cure-all solution to this problem between others and farmers?
We still have it on as I talk. Even today, I still received over 6 petitions today.
So what's the cure-all solution? Is there any? Because what I'm asking is that a lot of reasons have been given for why this is happening. We've heard about desertification, that the desert in the north is encroaching. So these people are trying to look for water and all of that. That's why they move down south. But is there a solution? Is there a way to find a lasting solution to this problem?
as part of this lasting solution, last week, Tuesday, I held a meeting with the Yetiala leaders, Fulani leaders, elders in the state. The meeting actually took place in the governor's office, and we came down, we sat down together, we told them the implications, which if they know the implications, maybe they will desist, because we're looking at a situation where there could be extensive food shortage.
Yeah.
And some of them lives amongst us. So if you create this kind of challenges, it affects you too. Again, as a Nigerian, yes, they are free to do their business, but they don't have a right to disrupt the business of farmers. So these people had been living with us over the decades without problem. Why now? And
that's the question. Why now?
This takes us back to about this period. There is this the climate change up north that makes them to look for greener pastures downs. And what we were telling them, which they actually agreed, and some of them were made to even sign undertaking last week, was that they could still feed their cows on trees, grass, and not what somebody had used his hard-earned money energy to prepare. And I think extensively we were able to narrow it down to the 18 local governments where their representatives came, and they gave us their words that they will be on the watch out for herdsmen that are passing through, because the bulk of this problem, they passed it to those that are just passing through the state. For instance,
well, some of them are not Nigerians.
We were able to apprehend some people, which we handed over to relevant security agencies that we suspect that they may not be Nigerians. For instance, somewhere around your office here, around the Lara, there is a very big dam where there are farmers on both sides of the dam. We had to interject about 3 weeks ago now. We're on the farmland. We saw the extensive destruction of the farmlands by these herdsmen and the herders, and we were able to apprehend over 200 of their cows. We brought them to our office and brought the owners to a round table with the farmers. And even though we were not usually part of the negotiation, but until the farmers came back to tell us that they have resolved to compensate, 1, 2, wrote an undertaking that they will not come back to the place. But what the local government executives of Miyatiala is claiming is that some of the people that comes over the night are travelers with these cows, and they ravage the farms. So, but we are going to hold them responsible, and they agreed. And I think substantially it has reduced.
In trying to make sense of all of these, a lot of reasons have been adduced. Some even sound like conspiracy theories. I've had people say that it is intentional, that they're trying to cripple the economic power of the Southwest. As an expert, what would you say is responsible for this? In dealing with these people, would you say that this action is intentional?
Honestly speaking, from my interaction with some of these herdsmen, they are purely intentional. Because you see somebody that after ravaging the farms, they now go to the next stage, which is uprooting cassava and cutting. It's just callous. It's callous. And that's why we begin to look at it, that something else is there apart from that they want to feed the cows.
The commander, the Amotekun commander in Ondo State, I forgot his name now. I think it's a retired military man. He said, I read one of his interview, and he said the Southwest should be careful and be wary that the way this is going, it as though there is a plan, not just to cripple the economic power, and then that these people are in all the forest in Yoruba land, and something has to be done quickly.
Honestly, I agree to that they are in virtually all the reserves, all the forests in the state, especially in our trend of kidnappers and armed robbers. We meet them in their hundreds. So many of these odds in their hundreds in the forestry reserves. And I see this as a potent danger.
Is Zadok, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I think that something we are not looking at in finding solutions to the constant moving of cow into people's farmland is the fact that while we are one Nigeria, you must understand that those who are local residents in a particular place who either own farms or forests have a right of ownership of the resources on the land.
Yeah.
And so we must take it purely economic when finding a solution to this. If you are going to graze on my land, and that grazing is supposed to add value to your business, because cattle herding is not a culture, it's not a tradition,
it's a
not
business.
a religion, it's a business.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I did a rough estimate of how much cattle is sold in Ondo State. Let's even say in Akure on a monthly basis.
Even on a daily basis.
It's a multi-billion naira business enterprise. And so it has nothing to do with the culture of the people to move around. So if how much of that comes to Ondo State, for instance, apart from the levies on cows being killed, if you graze in a particular region and you take the resources from that region to fatten your cow, you must be able to pay the owner of the farm.
Yeah.
So that farmers can clear huge expanse of land, come into agreement with a herdsman, come and graze in this place. Because while you are grazing, they are also dropping manure. And then there could be a symbiotic relationship between the farmer and the herdsman. So that you know that if you graze here, you drop a lot of manure. I plant here for this year. And then next year, you come back and graze and things like that. But the value of that business does not come to the Southwest beyond the fact that we consume the cow. The value of the cattle business.
We actually pay for what we consume.
Yeah, we pay them for what we consume. And when you look at how much money we use in financing the Fulani community through business with them, I think the minimum is that we deserve the respect of these people. You don't come into people's farmland. You uproot their cassava, feed your cow, and then still chase the owner of the farm away.
And in some instances, attack them.
And one other thing I've noticed, at least in my experience with them as a farmer, is the usage of narcotics by herdsmen it's a pandemic, if I may use that word. Because virtually all of them are constantly on tramadol and hallucinogenics. I have seen them operate in my estate where there were 3 clusters of cow, and the cows were spaced. One was in my cassava farm, the other one was around my neighbor's house, and one was around where we had swamp. And we were looking at these boys falling down. They couldn't stand up. They couldn't walk. As a result of the fact that they had induced themselves. So they are constantly on drugs. And so it becomes a menace. One other thing that we are not looking at is the fact that government has a responsibility to ensure that cows are not moved around residential places because they drop a lot of ticks. It is the cows that drops what we call egbon, the ticks, all around the state. And that has cost a lot of dog breeders like myself, has cost us very valuable animals. Because you are constantly treating your dogs with medication to try and get rid of these ticks, and it has become something that is infesting houses. So if we are living in a society that is geared towards the safety of its people, we must also not just look at it from the point of cows coming into fields, but the spread of disease and the issue of huge, massive usage of narcotics by
these people. Okay, because of our time, let me quickly ask Chief Adetunji, in trying to pinpoint those who are responsible for these crimes, especially kidnapping now in the Southwest. Some people have said, in some instances, you hear people say that they are non-natives who are collaborating with natives. Now, as with your pedigree, with your experience so far in the field, what would you say really is the situation? I'm talking about kidnapping now.
Well,
what is the fact of the matter?
On kidnapping so far, our survey reveals that majority of these crimes are done by getaway people now, because until a suspect is declared by a competent court of law as guilty, I don't want to say it belongs to a particular tribe. But what we are saying extensively is that it is with active connivance of natives,
of locals,
that this kidnapping takes place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would you say that there is any link between what is happening up north and what is happening here down south? I'm talking about Boko Haram now. Is there any link between Boko Haram and kidnapping? And I'm asking you this because I know you have a background in terrorism, if I'm right, a fellow of Terrorism Research Center, and you retired as Deputy Commandant General of NSCDC.
Yes,
so you would know. So what is the truth?
No, the situation is this. Let me give you a scenario. Like a couple of days ago, we intercepted 2 trucks of young, able-bodied men, over 400 of them.
In Ondo State there?
Loaded.
What part of Ondo State?
We actually intercepted these vehicles between Owo and Akure.
Okay.
2 trailer loads of over 200-300 men in one. That is in each of them. And when we stopped and searched, we found out that all they knew is that they were coming up north to Akure. And that's a potential danger. If this volume of men are coming without...
What time of the day did you intercept them?
You said?
What time of the day did you...
7 a.m.
Okay.
7 a.m. on Wednesday. And before we were even able to make them stop for searching, it was tough. Because they felt that as Nigerians, they have a right to go to anywhere.
Wherever they
please. What we are saying is that we as security agents also have a right to know your mission. And all we found were motorbikes completely broken down into pieces, and these able-bodied men don't know anywhere. They said they boarded this vehicle up north, different states up north, and they are just coming to Akure. Where are you going to Akure, Shasha? To do what? When we get to Shasha, we will
know. Okay, quickly, let me ask Mr. Theo Adeboale, from what you've seen so far, would you say that the governors in the Southwest have really been upfront about fighting insecurity in the region, or they have allowed politics to creep in?
Well, I believe that the political scenario has not allowed them to assert themselves. And now
what kind of scenario?
Well, because of the various political activities that they engage in, partisan politics. So they have to mellow down, to be careful, and they can't stand and insist on doing the right thing. Specifically, I know that the money they use to fund the police, which they have no authority on, if they are able to get a good chunk of it for Amotekun will work well. But they will prefer to give the money to the master so that they can...
When you say the master, what do you mean by that?
To the federal government.
Okay.
And the Nigerian police, so that they can enjoy certain partisan favors. So I believe that if the Southwest governors are able to be man enough, are able to see the outfit as directly their responsibility, they should be able to give it a better investment that will bring good result. And time is not on their side. I want to recall a scholar from Galilee in Israel. He came to deliver a lecture a couple of years ago. In that lecture, he said, we should expect some drought in Africa, where the only place in Africa where you will get water is Nigeria. And that it has serious security implications.
Yes, of course.
Because there will be
Influx of people
mass
from other
movement,
people.
Yes.
Yes.
Influx of men and animals, and they overwhelm Nigeria. So I think if we have this information, and we already have these problems before the drought, then it is important for us to start addressing it, not only through boardroom exercises, but through scientific studies and in-depth security applications, so that we can minimize the problem when it eventually gets to the zenith.
Now, Chief Adetuji, as someone who has experience in guerrilla warfare, if you were to advise the governors in the Southwest, and my question is a two-part question. One, if you were to advise the governors in the Southwest, what would be your advice to them on this issue of insecurity? And if you were to paint the picture of what is currently happening, as somebody who is well schooled in guerrilla warfare, what kind of picture would you paint?
Thank you very much. Well, I want to give kudos to the governors first for this initiative. You can imagine what would have been happening in a place like Ondo State, but for Amotekun. Right now, in Ondo State, the law establishing the corps is very specific on the terms, and it starts with collaborative situations with the existing
security agencies
architecture in the state. And for a state like Ondo State, despite the lean resources available, to be able to provide a takeoff grant to enable Amotekun presence be felt in the 18 local governments, that as we talk from this studio, by the press of a button, I will tell you exactly what is happening in any part of the state. You see,
you're in touch with your people all over the state.
24/7. I'm in touch with every local government as per the security situation every time. And again, apart from that, there are so many other issues, so many other equipments, security-based equipment that I don't want to go into.
Are you using drones?
Very, very effectively.
Okay, in Ondo State.
In Akure, we use drones virtually every day to do. That's why we know that there are colonies of herdsmen in the bushes around.
Okay.
We use, and the drones we have in Ondo State is the state-of-the-art drones. Our communication equipment cuts across borders. We don't use repeaters again. What the state government got for us is what you can at the press of a button, you can reach. And once there is distress, all of us move. So Amotekun on its own, the way it is concepted is such that it would have been able to frontally confront any security situation. But you see, by the time there is a law, the law setting up the corps 2020, it put some restrictions as a result of certain issues on the equipments we can use. Like, for instance, we are only empowered to use non-prohibitive firearms. But again, we are not deterred by that, because we know that Amotekun is our own security for ourselves by ourselves. So that's where we want the people to know that this security that you're talking about is your business, is my business. And for you to find a governor that, despite pressures, did not even at any point in time ask for support of Amotekun during politics, during election, I think we should give them kudos.
Let's get back to my questions. The two questions. You have not answered them.
What I'm saying, in fact, this is the background.
Okay.
What I'm saying, in effect, is the advice to these governors is to continue to equip the state security organs individually.
Okay. What about, I ask you to paint a picture. That if you were to paint a picture, what is currently happening? What kind of picture would you paint?
Don't forget that the picture of insecurity is not in the Southwest or Ondo State alone. It's across the country. And it's a fallout of a lot of factors. One, you talk of the economic situation in the country, joblessness, restiveness of the youth, and a lot of economic situations coming together. So what do you expect? A young man graduated 5 years, he did engineering, he has no job. Idle land is always a workshop for devils.
Absolutely.
So if you are solving the problem of security, you can't solve the problem of security alone.
Yes.
The associated factors that gravitated to that.
You talk about distribution of resources as well.
That's what I'm talking about. So in effect, it's a global issue, and we should look at it globally, not singling out kidnapping in a particular place or Boko Haram in a particular place. If there are better things for them to do, they will definitely do. Even the armed robbers wants to steal and go and enjoy what he took. So if he knows that that is not possible and there are better ways of livelihood, he will probably take to that.
Let me quickly ask you this before I turn to Zadok. How do you think we can make our forest a no-go area for this criminal element? Is it possible to do?
It's difficult because it's expansive.
Yeah.
Very, very expansive.
Yeah.
All we could, and this lies in the hands of our locals in the communities. They are the people to raise alarm. For instance, if you take over my farmland now and you want to make a colony out of it, I can ask you, who gave you the land? I didn't give you, leave my land. There is no law in Nigeria that says I don't have a right to my farmland. Just like you have a right to your cattle, but move forward. So if everybody say move forward, they will come back to what my friend has said, that there will be a truce. Okay, you want to graze on my farm. This is how much you pay for doing it. But now it doesn't happen. It is because of the pressure we put on them that makes them in the first place to agree to pay compensation. Before Amotekun, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. This issue, let me quickly ask you this, because it's been in the public domain. A particular couple, the couple who were kidnapped, who were coming from a boy, so Mr. and Mrs. Benga Ibikule, people, when they said they were released, but they've come out to say that the Amotekun and the police were not involved in their rescue, that they paid a ransom of 2 million naira.
What I will talk on the point of
your own part. Okay.
If you are talking about the couple that were kidnapped along Isho or Road, the pressure we put on the kidnappers, you can see a kidnapper that started negotiating on 100 million now coming to say, okay, we can bring 1 million. What we're talking about is we combed the whole of the forest and made it impossible for them to even take them out of that domain. And it was at the heat of the pressure that they were released.
I think it is important for our governors in the Southwest to realize that the constant gifts to the federal government to do its job by supporting the police should more be given to Amotekun. And this is why I said that. The federal government owns the federal police. And it is his responsibility. And in the budget, they already made the allocation for them. I think Southwest governors, if they have any largesse and they intend to fund the police, security, should push that into Amotekun. I'm not saying the police is not doing well, but we must realize that stopgap solutions like Amotekun becomes important where the policing system in the country has largely failed. You find a police system where most of our operatives in the different police stations are already tired of the job they do. And so you can't ask somebody that is not well equipped to go and deal or engage a well equipped somebody who's lost the morale to go and engage somebody who intends to kill them. But for Amotekun, I do support the Amotekun initiative. And I think that it is important for our governors to know that it's a principal priority for them to equip Amotekun. If you have 20 vehicles, I don't know if they've increased that.
No, they haven't.
We have 18 local governments. If you have to spread your vehicles across all the 18 local governments, you have maybe one. Maximum of one in one local government.
That's not enough.
It's grossly inadequate. When I traveled to Abuja recently, you would understand the impact or the reason why people are moving from the northern part into the southwest. When you travel by air over this land, once you get to Kogi, it becomes brown. It becomes almost without water. Once you cross over to Kogi, you find that the forest is largely brown. It becomes close to savanna.
Yeah.
And that wasn't how it used to be. But the Ondo State part is the greenest part. The Ondo State part is green, is lush, is everything. And so, which means that there's a lot of groundwater within the Ondo State axis. And wherever you find water, vegetation will grow. Where vegetation grows, you find cows. And so, we must begin to look at our forest as a resource. I'm not saying somebody cannot bring the cows. I would rather want our people to go into cow herding. Sincerely, because it's economical. If I'm able to own, we bought one recently that we shared as family friends. It was 280,000 for one cow. Imagine somebody owning 100 of that. So it's totally economic. We must begin to find a solution where our people as Yorubas begin to also go into cow herding, particularly using ranching. You own the land, you own the water. So you put some cows there instead of somebody coming.
Okay, because of our time, I did promise at the beginning of this program that I had an interview with the corps commander in Ekiti State, that is General Joe Komolafe. Let's listen to the excerpt of that interview by the phone interview I had earlier with the commander in Ekiti State.
General, the man who was just kidnapped in Ekiti State, Laji Akimbami, is there anything being done by Amotekun in securing his release, in rescuing him from these kidnappers?
The corps, in collaboration with other security agencies in the state, are working hard to secure his release without delay. Tell people, anybody with useful information to come up and assist us so that we can always get to rescue the victim on time.
Are there challenges in carrying out your duty? Are there challenges that you would want immediate solutions to?
There is no endeavor in human life that is not having challenges. So we have challenges, they are not insurmountable. There is no endeavor in human life that is not having one or two challenges. We have challenges, but there are things that we can solve. And even the people on the street, our people, they are part of our challenges. When you have an information about an incident and you hold it until after the action must have been committed, it's a challenge. You best be proactive. If you do that, then our work will be very smooth.
Okay, before we go, Chief Adetunji, your assurance to the people of Ondo State this year regarding security, especially kidnapping on that axis, the Elegbeka area. People are so scared of that area.
Yes. To the good people of Ondo State, I want to tell them that in collaboration with all these other security agencies, we are patrolling that route. And Amotekun on its own is currently on Operation Cleanup. And what we do in Operation Cleanup, that's why we were able to now identify these dark spots in the forest, is to carry the fight to them in their domain, and flush them out. And extensively, this operation started on the 3rd of December, and between then and now, I think we've done substantial work, which is not exhaustive anyway. So, to the good people of Ondo State, I can reassure them that the security situation is getting better, will get better, but we also need their support in terms of timely informations, and for them to also recognize the fact that they also have a major role to play.
Is there any phone number that you could give out for people to call? Let's do that quickly before.
Distress call number is 0807 99 99989.
Let's take that again.
0807 99 99989. And informations coming in through this line will be treated in the strictest confidence. I can tell you that we've received several, and none of them had gone to wrong hands.
Thank you very much, Chief Adetunji Adele, the commander of Amotekun in Ondo State. Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Zadok Agitoye, thank you very much for coming. Mr. Theo Adewale, thank you very much for coming. My name is Dimeji, and this is where I will draw the curtain to this edition of the Roundtable. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
105.9 FM.